Hi, everybody. My name is Gladys. I am a mental health professional, and I just wanted to casually talk about domestic violence and also talk about specifically rage, dissociation from the male perpetrator's perspective. Now, this is a theory that has been really coming up in my mind a lot, and I just wanted to share with you guys. I'm hoping that it will be something that we can discuss, and maybe some of you will be feeling that this resonates with you. Maybe some of you might feel that this is way off. It doesn't apply to what you have been experiencing, but I would love to just share these thoughts with you. So when a male is in a rage, and when I say a male, I mean a gentleman. So please forgive me for being rude about it, but I'm just saying when the male in the relationship is in a rage, and not in all situations, but in some situations, there have been reports from the female, from the woman in the relationship, that she sees as if he changes completely and he's no longer the person that she knows. You know, his whole demeanor changes, his eyes glaze over, he takes on another force. He's not gentle with her as he usually is. She's not able to reason with him. He is in such a state that he is acting as if he was somebody else. Okay. This state that he's in, it's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde state. It's not anything like he typically is. Okay. So when he's in that state, I want to propose that maybe he's in a dissociated state. He's in a dissociated state. Now, what does that mean? What is dissociation? Dissociation is a coping mechanism that our minds have, our bodies have, when we are in a traumatic situation. When we're in a traumatic situation, a situation where we feel overwhelmed, a situation where we cannot fight, a situation where we cannot flee, all right? Sometimes the body will just choose to just zone out, dissociate. It will not stay connected to the feelings and the situation that is presently happening. It will choose to detach itself. This is a coping mechanism of our minds, and it's actually a healthy response to trauma. However, it can also be the beginning of a pattern of coping with stress. It can begin to become a pattern of coping with stress. So what I'm proposing, and I really want to hear you guys' idea on this. Is it possible that when somebody is, supposing I'm a male, and I have gone into a rage at home, I am attacking the person who typically really is the most close to me, my spouse, right? And this person has, in many ways, gateways to my emotions, okay? I can perceive what she says as being a trigger for me. What is a trigger? A trigger is something that scratches off the surface of our usual demeanor and seems to be touching deep into our hidden feelings. It seems to be touching on a nerve. It seems to be rousing emotions that are usually kept in check. That's a trigger, okay? So it's not unusual that our spouse would have that ability, or somebody that we have held dear, someone that we feel is close to us has that ability to get to us, willingly or not, knowingly or not, right? So I'm trying to stay on focused on this train of thought of dissociation. So here I am as a man. My spouse has said something to me. It has triggered an emotion. This emotion reminds me of a previous trauma. In that trauma, possibly in my childhood, I had no way to flee. I had no way to fight. I only could exit myself, exit that situation. Okay. And by doing that, I was in a way safer, even though I was still in the situation. Okay. So what I'm saying is that would explain why the person who's observing the perpetrator will realize that this person is not present. It's not the usual person that I know. This is like I'm dealing with somebody else. And in a way, it's so. The person that you deal with is not present. The person that you're dealing with now is a trigger response personified. Okay? You're dealing with someone who is in a fight, not a flight response, in a fight response. And they're fighting you as if you did something wrong that required that level of anger and rage. Okay? This person is not fully aware of themselves in that moment. It is almost like a sense of, you black out almost in a way. And so when you've blacked out, meaning that you're not easy to reason with, once the episode has passed, you might hear the person say, I don't remember doing that. You might hear the person saying, minimizing what they did. Oh no, I wouldn't do anything as bad as that. That's not even my nature. That's not my personality. You feel like you're dealing with somebody totally different. Okay. This is possibly what we're looking at when we're dealing with a perpetrator who is very abusive. I want to go ahead and extend that and say, supposing this person has taken on a personality of rage, right? So now they're raging against you, they're fighting you, they're hitting you, kicking you, and all of that. The issue with rage is it is such a powerful emotion that draws out endorphins. Endorphins are the kinds of hormones that are used to make you more powerful. Unfortunately, they're also the same hormones that give you pleasure. They are also the emotions, the hormones that make you feel empowered. If you're dealing with somebody who needs those emotions, the rage can actually become a very addictive response. It becomes a default response. It becomes something that you want to happen, even though you know it's wrong, to harm your spouse, harm your loved one. It becomes highly addictive. And so because of that, you get a repetition of the events. So you get somebody hit you once, yes, they're encumbered by a lot of guilt, but they also have gotten a dose of endorphins. And so the likelihood of them doing this again is high. And so it happens again and happens again. And this mismatch of Jekyll and Hyde in our personalities, one day will have to give way to one. It has to give way to one. One will need to become the dominant one. And what we find with domestic violence, it tends to get progressively worse because someone keeps getting that jab of endorphins. One day, their mind will not be able to say, no, you should not do that. The mind will eventually check out and say, well, maybe it's not so bad. Well, maybe she deserved it. Well, you know what? In our culture, that's what we do. And therefore, the resistance to that kind of behavior lessens over time to the point where it's just like, this is what I do. Once it gets to the point where there is no resistance to violent behavior from the individual, within the individual, when there is so little resistance that sometimes even the person might completely block it off like it didn't happen. Somebody actually acts as if it did not happen. Then now you're dealing with a person who really is very dangerous. You're dealing with someone who is very dangerous. Okay. The spouse now is almost always dealing with the other personality. Okay. So what can the spouse do? What can the perpetrator do? If this is the case, if you have now realized you have a problem regulating your emotions, you have a problem being addicted to rage, you're losing a why not to stop hitting your loved one, terrorizing your loved one. Your level of anger and rage and the acts of violence that you're doing is all heightened, it's all getting worse. If you are that man, then you do need professional help. There are too many things that are combating you in those moments for you to be able to handle it on your own. One, you're dealing with past traumas that are unresolved. Two, you have this rush that comes from being enraged. Three, your mind is playing tricks on you. It's letting you think that, you can handle it and you can't. You can handle it no less than an alcoholic can handle their liquor. You need help. You need a professional to help you be a mirror, be a mirror for you, rather, who can help you untangle some of these confusion. So it's not something that your wife can help you with. Maybe if she does this, if she doesn't keep annoying me, then I won't get this. It's going to reach a point where there's nothing that she can do that will appease you. She's trying, and it will not work. She will not be able to appease you because the demon is within. So this is something that you need to tackle. And if you realize that it's really come so far out of hand, it may be time for you to separate from your loved one physically until this is under control. This is not an acceptable way to relate to a loved one. You are destroying the very thing that you have built. I'm saying that with a lot of compassion for the person who is raging, because you have a lot riding on this. At the same time, you are not able to stop. It's like you're on a runaway train. You need a good therapist. You need a very experienced and qualified therapist, preferably a male, a mature male, who can walk you through your mindset as you go into these rages. And that trauma-informed therapist will be able to walk you back or sidestep some of the default actions that you take. If alcohol is involved and you are able to stop drinking, please do stop drinking. Because what alcohol does and drugs do is they minimize inhibition. So whatever defenses you had and were able to use to keep violence at bay in your home now are torn away, and you are just a raging maniac in your home. So this is a thought that has been coming to me very often, I really would love to hear the feedback from especially men. Does this sound about right? Because if it is, then we have been going about treatment, been going about tackling domestic violence a little bit off the mark, a little bit off the mark. We need to see this as a trauma response. We need to see it as a dissociative state. We need to understand that the man, yes, he's committing very monstrous acts, but he himself is not the monster. There is a monster within him, which is this crazy mix of hormones, of trauma, of all these things that are just happening at the same time that make him react the way he does. And it needs some professional help to sort it out. So those are my thoughts. I won't keep you for long. I'm looking forward to seeing your comments on this. Thank you so much.